there are many instances where like I've walked into a place, or I've had like me and an African friend of mine walk into a party that we know is going to be either all white or mainly Caucasian. And we think about like, okay, we can't bring, we can't bring, like, we've made jokes about this, and this might sound crazy or sad, but I know your show is all about truth, but we've thought about, okay, my friend is shorter and lighter skinned. I'm taller and darker skinned. We couldn't bring another tall, darker African American because it might make the white people at this party feel uncomfortable.
Wow.
Those are things we've talked about, laughed about, but are also kind of serious about, where it's like, we think about, okay, what's going to make like these people the least uncomfortable by our presence.
And is that because you don't want to be you don't want to, like, what's the end result of that? Is that so that it doesn't escalate accidentally or intentionally? Not
even like there would be necessarily like escalation. It's just like in reality, I think there are, because, we are minorities, are minority by definition. And so there are many circles, places in this country, social situations, corporate situations, whatever, where there aren't often African Americans. And there are places where white people don't have to ever see people of color, like just don't ever see it. So there is a person of color. There potentially is this like, oh, interesting. Like, and again, it might not make a bit of difference to most people. This is just, but in some situations there are people that are afraid of African Americans. I know, so I feel like some people listening to this are gonna be like, oh, he's ridiculous, but it's just true. And there are places that they don't expect to see an African American sometimes as well.
Such as?
Okay, here's an example. I was in
just go there, bro. This is what it's about. I'm very curious now.
So my girlfriend lives in the West Village. And
yes, she does. Yes, so you're still dating. You're still dating.
Yes.
I enjoy her. Okay, go ahead.
I was taking the trash out there and inside her apartment, and opened the door to come back into the building. It's all inside the building, but there's like an outside alleyway or something where you throw the trash out. And I happened to, I did have my shirt off. Maybe that makes a difference. I opened the door, and at the same time, a white man is coming out, young white man, and like
he fainted.
He damn near fainted.
He thought you were coming for him.
So Jake, he literally was like, "Oh shit!" He gives me one of those. I start laughing. And I'm like, "Oh my God!" And then I apologize. Okay, that's a reaction. So it's that. And then he says, "Man, sorry. Just big black guy coming at me. I just, I did like."
Oh, he said it?
He said that. And so,
can you imagine if you weren't of the disposition that you are with, like, because you're very friendly, you're very likable, very friendly. But if you had like a little bit of rage on you that day, that would have been, it would have been like,
it could have been bad. Wow. And I laughed it off and was like, hey man, and even gave him something like, and it's weird in these situations. You're like, do I sit and try to give this man a lecture, or like tell him about himself and why it's really crazy that he responded in that way, and also had the nerve to like say that. But he was also just being very honest. I went back and told my girlfriend, and she was like, "Are you kidding?" She was like infuriated.
She would have went off. That would not have been a quiet surrender.
No, not at all. That would have been not at all.
I whip my hair back and forth. I whip my.
You're ridiculous.
Wow. And we should tell people who don't know New York City, the West Village is one of the highest income brackets and the highest, probably, so one of the richest areas of New York City and one of the whitest.
Yep.
So big black guy coming toward you at 8 a.m. or whatever it was.
It was like the afternoon.
Was it the afternoon?
Yeah, it was. There was light out. It wasn't.
It dark. Wasn't even dark.
No.
What? Oh shit.
So,
but this is real. Like, that's a great story, Jonathan, because this is not, that's not a police brutality video. That's not a Black Lives Matter march. That's every day.
It's weird to me even that I like get it. not even get it, but like I know it, that it happened so well. I know it so well that I'm like, this is just the way it is.
In a world where Black Lives Matter movement is at a real high and police brutality videos also are, why is it important for a university like Morehouse to exist?
Well, it's for a number of reasons. There are, actually, I've seen a couple of conversations around this based on what's been happening with that in Missouri with the football team that was, deciding to not going to play football until the president resigned because of inaction around a number of racial incidents that had happened on their campus. And he actually stepped down, I think, yesterday. But some people were commenting just like at HBCUs, it's like a very safe, and it's a safe place where you are able to you're able to explore your identity as a human being and not as an African American in this world.
Which HSBU?
HBCU.
HBCU.
Sorry, HB. So yeah, at a historically Black college university.
Oh.
So, and I'll say from my experience, this is why it was important. Coming from the suburbs, I know that as I was growing up, as we all are like trying to find our identity and trying to figure out, who we are and how that relates to how that presents itself in what clothes we wear, the music we listen to, et cetera, what activities we engage in, what's cool and what's not. And one of the biggest journeys about this year for me has been figuring out like, where do I stake my identity? Like, is it in the fact, like for since the beginning of high school, I went to got into a prestigious private high school and went to a really good undergrad. I got to grad school. I've always had a thing that I knew for certain that I could tell somebody I was doing, or I was, be it a student or an employee of, that pretty much everyone would be proud of. I could get accolades or applause from somebody because I was there. Right now, it's like, yes, people will applaud the journey, but it's been really hard for me, at least it was initially, to just say, I'm a musician, I'm making music.
Amen.
without having like a Grammy, without having a critically acclaimed musical product out yet. It's like, oh man, if everyone in the world doesn't love this thing that I create and I'm saying that that's what I am, what does that mean about me?